Boy, I made the mistake of buying this movie. Welcome back, horror fans, cinephiles, and Giallo enthusiasts. Ladies and gentlemen, it is I, Tanner Leeser, your host for The King in Giallo, and it is time for another unscripted movie review. I had the misfortune of watching In the Folds of the Flesh today, and there's no easy way to say it. I did not like this movie. It was, there was stuff to like. I mean, there's a lot of head rolling. There is a lot of cool kaleidoscopic psychedelic effects. The opening credits was kind of cool, but this movie is a hot mess. This is a hodgepodge of, it's less mystery and more of just like curiosities. You're more of just kind of like wondering about things, and then you get answers to stuff that you didn't really think you needed or was relevant. This movie does way more unnecessary twists and turns than I don't have anything clever to say. It's just there's way too many twists in the end, and I kind of was very curious to see what that would look like on a movie. Because it's like, well, somebody greenlit this, somebody greenlit the script, somebody, nobody told them halfway through, like, do you think maybe we should cut down the reveals by like maybe at least just take 3 of them out? But so yeah, this is also one of the only movies that I've watched recently going into it that I had a very strong feeling I was not going to like this movie. And I was right. And I wasn't trying to not like it. It's just, it felt more like a sexploitation movie at times. And one of the really weird type of ones where the things that they were doing. So in short, I mean, I'll try to relay the plot. It's at a point, like I had to kind of, I had to go back and I had to like be like, dude, what the fuck is happening? Let me tell you, the first thing the movie after the credits is like lightning, decapitated head. These 2 women and this I think it's 2 women and a boy, like a little boy. They're disposing of a body, and this escaped criminal is evading the police on a motorcycle in day for night, which, by the way, the movie uses so much day for night shooting. Occasionally you can just drop it in a few times, get away with it, but there were so many times where they were using it where, anyways, escaping the police, he'll go this way on his motorcycle and they'll go by, and then he'll come out and then they keep chasing him, and he finds these, so there's this like isolated villa. The one woman goes out to set the boat out, and the other woman is burying the body in the backyard. And the man happens upon their property, and he's trying to hide out there. And he's in the backyard area, and he kind of sees the digging. The police show up, they search the premises, they find him, they take him, and then it's like 13 years later. Okay. And then immediately this is where things just go weird. So the little boy has grown up, and it looks like the women haven't aged a day in their lives. Like they're the exact same. But people will show up at the house. Men who are, I think they have a relation to the late man of the house who is not around anymore. And this family basically will just kill anybody who comes on the property. They kill them off. They bring them in. They everybody also who comes in is just like a piece of shit. Like the men are just very what would I say? I don't want to say presumptuous, but they have this very they have this attitude towards all the women where it's just like, oh, I can just like touch them. I can just like, cross boundaries. One girl has like cigarettes, and he like takes her cigarettes and it's like you think he's gonna take one cigarette, and he just takes the whole pack and puts it in his pocket, and then they're talking, and he's got the cigarette out, and she's kind of just playing along, and she's like, "Oh yes, would you like me to light your cigarette?" And he goes, "No, I don't smoke." And she's like, "So you just collect women's cigarettes?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's a thing I do." And then a lot of these guys are just, yeah, they're very gropey. They just kind of assume that they can do this, and it's like, way to like ham up the 1970s Italian misogyny stuff to like, like the highest level it can go. Weird, crazy, but anyways, that's not what actually offended me. So as we go along, or yeah, like they all just get killed off. All these guys always try to get into bed with like one woman, and they all end up getting a knife in the throat or something, head cut off. And then the movie is interspersed with all these flashbacks and kaleidoscopic effects, where there's like 2 or 3 of the same image going on, colors, and a lot of it has to do with assault. That's, I think, the safest way I can say this without YouTube being like, but R word. No, not that one, the other one. And it's just very, like, "Father, no! No, Father, what are you doing to me?" Like, and the little boy grown up, he and one of the women, the younger of them, who was like, are they sisters? I guess I forgot what the relation was. Like, he's the nephew of the woman, and she's the daughter, so I guess they're cousins. I don't know, but they hook up a lot, and it's really weird. Like, one time they have this guy come over, and they start playing this recording for him, and then the sounds of it get them going. And it literally, the scene is just kind of like, "Hi, welcome into our house. You want to watch us like make out?" It's so bizarre, because I'm just not into movies that are like, "Hey, sexploitation." It's like, please give me something a little bit more than just that. And I mean, to the movie's credit, there were some kills, there were decapitations. There was a weird scene where the kid, or not, he's grown up, the guy. By the way, I did not bother to learn any of these characters' names. First off, there was just, at a point, there was too many characters, and I was just like, okay, whatever. But anyways, this one man who comes over brings his dog, and the dog starts like snooping around the backyard. And this is 13 years after bodies have been buried back there, and the dog starts like pulling up bones, and the boy of the house, in order to try to protect their secret, he goes out there and he kills the dog. And it started out as just kind of funny and pathetic how they filmed it, and then it got to like, okay, you can stop. So at first it's like he like grabs the dog on the collar, and anybody who has like a dog, especially a big dog, and this is a German Shepherd, knows that you can kind of roughhouse them, and they like it. Like, they think you're playing. And so he's kind of like, and then it shows the dog, and the dog is clearly like, like just happy. And then it's like the dog laying down, and he's like, like killing it. And the dog is still kind of playing. It's still kind of like, you can lay a dog down, and you can literally do that, like, and the dog will just kind of be like, oh, this is all a fun game. But the guy is being like really like rough, and the dog is just kind of like, and so hope you liked my performance there. It just was weird. Like, there's a lot of times in some horror movies and Giallo movies where it's like, why did you choose to film it that way where it doesn't look good? Like, I appreciate when a movie, especially if it's something like this, like a person strangling a dog or snapping the neck, it's just kind of like, okay, like how I'm framed, and it's just like that, where you don't see it, and you just kind of hear like, and for me, it's not that, I'm not someone who, in movies, I don't want to see violence against animals. Not that I want to, but it's not that I don't want to see it. It's just that, good luck doing it in a way that actually looks convincing. And if you are doing it in a way that looks convincing, you're abusing that animal. Or there's a fine line between, wow, that actually looked good. PETA's not going to be happy about this. Or you get a fake, animal. And then there's a part where this other guy comes by and he knows that, his friend Michel was there earlier because he finds the collar of the dog and he starts like tormenting them. And oh wait, no. Was this someone else? Well, someone shows up. I don't remember if it was someone who's friends or if this was the burglar from the beginning of the movie who shows up later then to blackmail them. And okay, so it's him, and he's like, I'm gonna blackmail you, Shay. I got my cigar, Shay. He doesn't actually talk like that, but oh my god, it would be so much better if he did. But he's like, okay, so I want, I imagine you could probably live off 100,000, so I want 200,000, and I'll stay out of your hair, but you're gonna dig up the body. And the boy digs up the dog, and he's like, "Is this what you wanted? Is this what you think is worth $200,000?" And it's either a dead dog or it's a fake. But this thing looked pretty good. Like, he pulls the dog up by the back legs, and it's just hanging, like, completely limp. Like, is this what you wanted? And yeah, I'm watching that like, dude, is that a real dead dog? Like, like, why? Or if that's fake, then like that's pretty convincing. But I wouldn't bet that this movie would have a convincing looking dead dog, considering they have some of the fucking worst looking decapitated heads. The one guy who comes in, who like takes the cigarettes, who's just like total scumbag. He gets one of the women into bed, and I think that's actually supposed to be his head. But she gets the upper hand, cuts his head off, and he goes from looking like one guy. I wish I could give like something to juxtapose it, but all of a sudden the head, it looks like Tom Savini. It's just like, dude, that does not even, and you can tell that it's like matte hair, like on, like they just put like fake hair to be like, oh yeah, that's the facial hair. Oh, it just looked bad. And that would have been fine. Like, everything up in like the first 30 minutes could have still been fine as far as a movie. Like, you're having fun. It's not like it's a bad movie. Like, I watched Death Occurred last night recently, and I'd mentioned that it's unfortunately bad. Like, because the movie had so much promise. It could have been really, really good. Has good source material. It had a good director. It had good actors. It just, the pieces somehow, it's like you had a cool jigsaw puzzle and you just didn't put the pieces together right, is kind of like how Death Occurred last night was. But there's still potential there. It's just a shame that it wasn't. So, I mean, like, you could watch that movie and get a lot out of it. It's, and then there's movies that are just like completely bad, nothing to get out of it. This movie, I would say it's probably so bad it's good. I just didn't really think it was good. But it is wild. It is fucking wild. And again, oh yeah, let's just turn up the incest. Let's turn up the assault flashbacks. Oh, let's go even further. Let's have a scene in a Nazi death camp with a bunch of naked women. Like, dude, okay, now we're leaning into like that type of sexploitation. Like, I really don't need that. But again, some people really like that, especially of like genre cinema of certain decades. Like, that was a whole weird niche. But yeah, no, this movie is all over the place. And funny enough, of all the other movies that I was talking about recently, ones that I say like, yeah, this one is this one, is a Giallo, but it's, there's sort of, if I didn't come across this movie in lists saying it was a Giallo, and people leaving reviews saying, oh, it's such a fun Euro trash sleazy Giallo and all that stuff, if I didn't ever read any of that stuff and I watched this movie, I would never say this is a Giallo. Now, I'm not saying definitively that I'm taking the stance that this is not a Giallo, but I did not see Giallo in this movie. And it's just funny because I'm very liberal with the 60s and like early 1970 Giallo films, where it's like, well, there wasn't really a clear cookie cutter design of what the movie is, so they draw outside the lines, and they're fitting a circle in a square in a circle type of thing. I'm very like forgiving this movie just, I didn't see it. And the one thing that stylistically, sure. And there's flashbacks, sure. There's killings, sure. And there's sex, but my God, it just didn't come off as a Giallo to me. But again, I'm not saying that it is not. I'm just saying that was my experience. But oh my God, so I'm gonna make this short because I just didn't like this, so I don't want to get too into it. I don't want to spoil things, but I do kind of have to just say, like, all of a sudden it's just like all these characters show up, and it's like, oh, this person was never actually dead, who we thought was dead, and then it's like, oh, this person was never alive, or I don't remember, like, whatever. Oh, this person is actually, like, in a mental hospital, but they're back now. Oh, this person actually is the one who assaulted this person. Oh, this, it's just so much shit. And even after that, they're like, we got like three more. We got like three more twists and reveals we can do. Dude, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. And I think that it's actually amazing that I don't say it pulls it off, but it's just amazing that it can do so much. And it's like, by the end, you're just like, okay, well, there wasn't really a strong narrative. There wasn't, like, I saw someone say that, like, there's no foundation for a narrative in this movie. And I agreed with that. It's so true. It's like, yeah, it's like they give it to you a little bit in the beginning, and then they just start throwing shit in, and they go, oh, well, you thought this, but actually this. And, oh, remember this? Well, actually, this is what happened. And it's just like, dude, like, it's one thing for a character to be crazy, but this is just like making the audience go crazy. And it's funny because I know a lot of people are going to say, I like this movie, and da-da-da, and that is totally fine. I'm never trying to convince someone that, you shouldn't like a movie or my opinion is better than yours. I'm just saying, upon my first viewing of this movie, I didn't really like it. And you don't need to explain to me what I'm missing, because I don't think I'm missing anything. But yeah, it was just funny because the movie could have had twists and turns, but oh my God, can you keep it like at 3 or under? The movie had like 5, 6, 7. It was, I don't even remember. I lost count. And then I just really started losing interest, because it was like, okay, whatever. This movie doesn't care. So why should I? But I will say, this movie, if you are someone who is interested in writing Giallo plots, you're trying to write a Giallo screenplay or whatever, watch this movie, because there's things that you should watch to be familiar with and knowledgeable of, in terms of, this is the right way to do something. This is how you set this up. This is how you pay it off. This is how you do it. And then there's something that's just as useful, is this is how you don't do it. Like, don't just throw in a bunch of twists, and don't just have them reveal, and it's like, what's the point? So there's a right way and there's a wrong way, and there is some utility to actually seeing the wrong way to do it. For Giallo fans, do you need to see this? Well, my God, this is a forgotten Giallo film for good reason. Again, I don't hate this movie. It's a bit of a hodgepodge of just different types of exploitation film of that late 60s, early 70s. And I mean, it's interesting how it mixes them all up, and it really is like a kaleidoscope and a collage of just different things. But for me, I mean, I'm glad I saw it. I can't say there's ever really been a Giallo that I've watched that I said, like, that was a complete waste of time. Because at the end of the day, even the bad ones are like I said, it's like, okay, well, that's useful to see, because that's not how you should do it. Either the pacing is off, or the writing is bad, it's horribly acted, the music is terrible. This movie, the pacing wasn't bad, and like, it looked well. I mean, it's being restored, but I mean, I could totally imagine watching like a terrible old DVD or VHS rip of that movie and being like, yeah, this checks out. This movie's probably not going to get a remastering, and I would have been wrong. But yes, you're a Giallo fan, you're a completionist. Yeah, check it out. You can buy it on Blu-ray from Mondo Macabro, and you know it's a nice one to have in a collection, especially if you're collecting these movies. You're gonna have like 80 plus Blu-rays, so why not throw it on there? It's one of the sleazier, trashier sides, and like I said, it's actually kind of fun. Like you could watch it with some people and be like, all right, we're just gonna drink, or we're just gonna smoke, and we're just gonna watch this movie and just like have a good time. And I think you can. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff that's just a little disturbing. That, yeah. But most horror fans, I feel, are pretty jaded in terms of not being grossed out or not being bothered. Like, what is this? Turn this off. So, yeah. And then again, my opinion about like how Giallo it is. I mean, it's wild to me that it is a Giallo film, but that's just me. Which is last thing I'll say is it's just funny because it has all the elements. Like I watched all these other movies, like I would say it comes off initially more Giallo than A Rather Complicated Girl does, but because it has all those things that we associate with it. I mean, it doesn't have black glove, knife wielding, black trench coat killer, but there are kills. There is abundance of sex. There is a sort of mystery, kind of. I mean, at least there's things that we don't know. It's shot very stylistically. There's a lot of stuff, but it's amazing how it can have all these elements and yet just not make the cake. I don't know. That's my opinion of this movie, and I just finished it. But like I said, I don't expect my opinion to be yours. Funny enough, I threw this shirt on. Not intentionally, in terms of like, oh, there's like 3 decapitations in the movie, but it was like after I had like thrown this on and I'm like finishing setting up, I was like, oh my god, I was like, the shirt that I have is actually kind of perfect for this. Thank you for watching, especially thank you if you made it this far. Let me know in the comments what you think about In the Folds of the Flesh. Have you seen it? Do you like it? What are your thoughts on it? If you haven't seen it, are you curious to see it? Do you think you'll buy the Blu-ray? Do you think you'll try and find it streaming? Or have you never heard of this movie and I just enlightened you to something that is completely wild? Whatever. But yes, don't take my opinion to say, avoid this at all costs. Don't watch it. Like, seriously, if you haven't seen it, check it out. Just wasn't for me. But yeah, like I said, joke's on me. I own it now. So, yeah. All right. Well, thank you again. This is Tanner Leeser for The King and Giallo. And nothing else. I'll see you next time.
You the boss lady here? Cigarette?
Well?
Hey, Michelle wasn't kidding. This is one beautiful villa. An emergency.
The next thing he was in a
story
hurry
of
to
my
leave,
life.
so he called, would you like me to light your cigarette?
Huh? Oh, no, I don't smoke.
Do you collect people's cigarettes?
It's a thing I have, like for women.